Hi everyone. I thought it might be useful to provide you with some thoughts about how relational poverty actually promotes a radically different worldview to other types of approaches. So you probably now have read Ladershi's paper on relational poverty, and I really hope this helped you understand the different conceptualizations. So here's some food for thought. At its simplest, a relational view of poverty is one that asserts that people are poor because of others. They are, in other words, unable to control future events because others, other people, have more control over them. In other words, that the success of some is linked to the failure of others, and therefore that changing social relations is a prerequisite for enhancing assets or income. There's an article that's quite interesting by somebody called Jeff Wood, published in 2003 in the journal World Development, that explains and conceptualizes it quite well. So I recommend it. So although perhaps it is self-evident, there are several obstacles to this approach. For example, the habit we have of thinking of poverty as a condition, understood by focusing on characteristics of the poor themselves, so people of low income, that are highly vulnerable to risk, that have weak networks and so on, rather than focusing on the wider economic and social systems of which they are a part, and consequently of equating the study of poverty with the study of poor people. Some scholars call for bringing politics back into poverty analysis and for exploring the social relations and institutions that are conducive to poverty dynamics so that policies themselves address chronic poverty and can be more efficient at doing so. In this regard, poverty research needs reconnection to knowledge about the way in which socio-economic, political and cultural systems work, and not consider poverty as a process that is driven by individuals. Another problem with specific approaches to understanding poverty that are not relational is the pervasive individualism of explanation of poverty that emphasize attributes and capabilities attached to individuals and influencing their life chances. Amartya Sen and Marta Nussbaum's work on capabilities and freedoms involve such individualism. This vision works against an adequate conception of poverty as an effect of social relations. Take the case of disability, for example. Disability is not primarily an individual physical condition, but a socially defined incapacity to work. There is an article by Barbara Harris-White on this, published in World Development as well, in 2005, titled Destitution and the Poverty of its Politics, with reference to South Asia, which analyzes such processes of exclusion and reflects on their material and relational implications for understanding poverty as a relational concept. I think this is quite interesting in that it brings out some of the structural issues and dynamics that actually are conducive to poverty again. It's not only economists who exceptionalize poverty. The view of poverty and suffering as abnormal disjuncture of the social order has marginalized poverty from anthropology as a science of society, and its idea of culture is inherently dangerous in explanations of poverty precisely because it exteriorizes poverty and conflates poverty and inequality and the result of long processes of impoverishment with otherness and cultural difference. Today, poverty is also exceptionalized by the unquestioned neoliberal common sense. The normativity of economic engagement, which gives chronic poverty its distinction as exceptional forms of poverty, presents poverty as an effect of economic growth. It defines poverty reduction as a goal of development and economic growth as its means. Contemporary policy discourse obscures, therefore, and simplifies the relationship between the two phenomena. This module will help and support you in exploring some of those social processes that are involved in facilitating powerlessness and stabilize exploitation, and in turn create poverty. I hope you enjoy the module.